All right, so hello. My name's Josh. I am learning Chinese. So I'm got my iPad hooked up to my PC right now. We are going to be making use of Anki. So Anki is a flashcard application. A lot of people, especially those who are learning languages, will be really familiar with it. You can create an account on here and download flashcards that other people have already previously created online. Or you could create your own and do it on as you go basis. Depending on how in depth you get with the app, you can actually create some really complicated flashcards. Like some of them even have like interactive games kind of built into them. But in my case, I'm just using some really simple ones. I'm using two main decks, really. Spoon-fed Chinese, simplified. This is one that's available through the Anki web servers. If you go ahead and sign up on their website, if you join through, you can go ahead and download this directly to your device. And this app, Anki, is available on iOS. It's available on Android, and it is available on PC. The PC application and the web app are both free. The Android app is also free, and the iPad app is a paid app. And I don't even think they're all made by the same developers. I think they're actually made by several different developers. But anyways, it's a really, really fantastic tool if you're trying to memorize any sort of information. So right now I am using it on my iPad. And I've also got it installed on the PC that I'm streaming from right now and on my phone, which I'm using for a webcam. And I have a stylus for all of these. So I really like this capability with the app. You can, so if I open up, let's go ahead and I'll open up my modified 20,000 cards. So this is a deck full of 20,000 sentences that someone scrubbed the internet for. Pulled a bunch of Chinese sentences with English sentences for comparison and audio, and they compiled it all together into the application. It's not perfect, so because they've just scrubbed a bunch of things and they've used some like
Tớ
data scrubbing techniques, right, to go ahead and drop these all into the application. It's not perfect. This is really no. Okay, so it's not perfect the way that the app presents it. For one thing, iOS doesn't have proper Chinese characters by default. So some characters will show up written in print rather than the way they should be written, which is a bit of an issue. When learning Chinese, I like to go ahead and actually write the characters, which a lot of people skip because it's kind of a pain. But I think that it really does go a long way towards helping you understand what it is that you're looking at. I think it really helps lock it into your memory. So I could go through my general process. But yeah, get Anki, get a phone or an iPad that has a stylus so that you can go ahead and write into the application and makes it a lot easier. The Chinese is a tonal language, which means that Mandarin Chinese has four different tones and a fifth silent tone. A tone is like singing or humming, is really what I like to think of it as. Your tonality while pronouncing a sound remains constant, either in a flat tone, would be ah, or it can rise upwards from a basic starting position upwards, ah, which is the second tone. You have the third tone, which is usually described as a dipping and then rising tone. So typically they'll teach you in Chinese classes that it's pronounced ah, but that's not actually correct. You only pronounce it that way whenever it's in isolation, like the word wo. It goes down and then up, wo. But in reality, most of the time, whenever you see the third tone in the middle of a word or in a sentence, it's actually just pronounced as a really low rising tone. And then you have the fourth tone, which is really just a sharp cutoff of the sound. It's really just saying the sound in a really sharp, clear, and short manner. So, ah, right? So you have ah are the four tones, and then the silent tone just doesn't really mean anything. You also have some things like occasionally, whenever you're looking at pinyin, which is how Chinese is written, you might see something like this. So this would be, go ahead and delete that. So if I have L and then I have U, so this is L, U, Lu. So first tone would be straight across, Lu. The second tone would be upwards, Lu. And the third tone would be Lu. And then you would have the fourth tone, which is Lu. So you have these four, Lu, 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 Lu. But you also have a modified sound for the letter U. So that one looks like this. And whenever you see this in the pinyin, this actually means that you're going to pronounce that U sound in a totally different way. It's actually going to be yi, e, instead of oo, e. So that can be really frustrating to learn at first. And it can be difficult to type as well, because whenever you're typing in pinyin, which is when you use Roman characters to type Chinese, instead of using the letter U and then looking for that accent mark to write down the correct pinyin, you'd actually write that as LV, which it's very annoying at first. It took me quite a while to figure that out whenever I was teaching myself. So my Chinese is all self-learned. I've learned entirely through flashcards. This is basically how I've learned Chinese up till this point, and I'm studying for the HSK right now. So you are more than welcome to subscribe to the channel, follow along. Once I've got a couple of subscribers, I will be able to do live streams, and I will be just live streaming my daily Chinese practice as I go through my flashcards. Later we'll be taking common Chinese apps like Alipay, WeChat, Ele.me, and Taobao, and a couple of others, and we'll be taking pages from those, and then we'll go through and translate and learn the characters on the pages so we can navigate around the user interfaces. That's something I've been wanting to do for a little while, just because it's really frustrating to get around those applications if you don't know what you're looking at. You can screenshot and translate the pages and jump back and forth between Google Translate and the app, but it's a major pain. So you really want to learn how to use those applications, especially because most of them, WeChat and Alipay do have English versions, but the English version of Alipay really kind of restricts you in all of the features you're able to access, which can be really frustrating. WeChat works perfectly fine in English, but things like Ele.me and Taobao, they don't have English versions at all, and those are major applications you're going to be wanting to use if you're living over in mainland China. So definitely you want to be learning those. So we're just going to get started, and ignore the unregistered. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. So here we have, okay, so the first character we have here is wo. So there's a stroke order. This is wo, and that is written in pinyin as W-O with that third tone over the top. And we have le. Le. And then the next one next to it is E. wo le yi. He. Ni. Qu. wo le yi he ni qu. So it's really important when you're learning, especially if you're just getting started in Chinese, to make sure you pronounce the words during your practice with the correct tone. So if I got any of these tones incorrect, I got the word wrong, and I got the flashcard wrong, and this is my way of learning it. Because with those tones, each different tone can represent a different character. So if I were to say wo le yi, it doesn't mean the same thing as wo le yi. So wo le yi he ni qu.
我乐意和你去.
All right, so we could see that we have gotten this correctly. 我乐意和你去. So 我 means I. 乐意 means willing. 和 means with. You go. I willing with you go would be the literal translation of what we're looking at right now. So the am, which is a preposition, right? They don't have prepositions in Chinese, so it's just implied. So I'm willing to go with you, or I'm willing to go with you, is 我乐意和你去. So I got that correctly. Then I'm just going to go through these. So on this card, you can see the way that this is structured. It's showing me the pinyin, but it's not showing me the Hanzi. Right? The Hanzi are what you call the Chinese characters. So the way that I practice these, since it gives me sentences on both sides, now I need to reproduce the Chinese character without actually knowing, without being able to see it. So I have to produce it and write it down in order to get this correctly. So we're going to go through. I don't know what the strokes are called. So that's something we can work on as a group. So, subscribe to the channel. I'll get some live streams going. People will be able to call in if anybody wants to practice Chinese together. It's a difficult language. It'll be a lot of fun. So here we have 我有2个姐姐，她们都是医生。我有2个姐姐，她们都是医生。So 我 I 有2个. So in Chinese they have these measure words. Ge is like the basic general purpose measure word. So you say 一个 means 1, 2个 means 2, 3个 means 3. So we have 2个 is 2. Now 姐姐 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 我有2个姐姐. This means I have 2 older sisters. Now 姐姐 is Chinese for older sisters. This is 姐姐. And this means older sisters. So the words for little sister would be 妹妹. So those are 2 different ones. So also interesting is this one, this next word. This is 她们. So this word 她 can be written in different ways in Chinese. So you have 她, this is for girls. You have 她 for men. And then you also have 她 for things or animals. So you have where you're maybe not sure whether or not it's a boy or a girl. So you have those 3 tas in Chinese. And when you're speaking, there's no way to differentiate them. They're all pronounced exactly the same way. So you can sometimes have a conversation in Chinese where you go through a couple of sentences and you're not sure if you're talking about a man or a woman. So that can be really interesting. So usually you have to specify. So you either need to define who you're talking about, right? Or contextually you'll know whether or not you're talking about a man or a woman. But there's no actual way to determine it just based off of the pronoun ta. It doesn't actually provide you with that information. So men. So here we know that I'm talking about 2 women, right? So the group of people is women. So I'm actually, 她们 means they. So I could have written 她们 with a male character instead, which would be like this. And it would have the same meaning. It means they, but that would be more if I was talking about a mixed group of people or if I was talking about a group of men. If you're talking specifically about a group of women, then you can just use 她们. You can use the female 她together with the character for men. I'm going to go ahead and delete those out. Do 是医生. All right, so do, D-O-U, and that's a first tone word. 是 Shi means is or are. It's used interchangeably for both. So you could say someone is 他是我的朋友 means he is my friend. 他是 he is. Then you can also say they are. 他们都是 they all are or 他们是 right? They are. 医生 obviously means doctor. And here there's no plurals in Chinese. You also don't have plurals. So we say that they are all doctor, but in Chinese, since we're talking about two people, the plurality is inherent in the sentence. It's an implied plurality. We don't have to actually add any sort of, apostrophe s or anything like we would in English to indicate that. So
我有2个姐姐，她们都是医生。
And we can see here that I wrote that correctly, so we're good to go. Now, let me show you again with this next one. So, 我不明白你的意思 means I can't understand your meaning. This one. Mm,
我不明白你的意思。
All right, very good. Okay, so I was actually a little bit worried about that for 明白 and 意思. I wasn't entirely sure that I'd get those two correct. So you could obviously see, too, the scale of my characters isn't quite right. My handwriting's not fantastic. I do it mostly to, memorize the characters and to understand the language a little bit better. You can see here now, here's what I want to show you. At the bottom here, we have, again, hard, good, and easy. These are different ways that you could tell the app to judge your performance, right? So the app functions entirely based on your own reporting of your performance. So you see here that if I say that it was good, which means that I knew the character, it wasn't a problem, I knew the sentence, and it's going to show me this particular card again in 3 months. So I'm not going to see this one for 3 months because I've already done it several times, and each time that it shows it to me and I get it right, it's going to push that amount of time that I'm going to see it back even further, right? And if I use, again, it's going to show it to me in 10 minutes, right? And then it'll start cycling it back through into longer and longer time frames. So this is working off of spaced repetition. It wants to make sure that you're seeing the cards right before you're going to forget them. So if you make use of this application, the algorithm that it functions on prefers that you use the deck every single day. You're going to get the best performance out of it if you do this every day. Now, I use it for quite a long time. I use it for 1 to 2 hours a day, but you can limit your practice time down to like 30 minutes. You can limit it to 20 minutes. You can only see 10 to 20 cards a day. As you can see here, let's see, how many do I have left today? I've got 48 cards to go through. So I'm going through 50 cards a day just in this deck, and I actually do 2 decks every single day. So I'm definitely kind of on a little bit of a grind trying to learn this. So I'm just going to keep going through, and you can follow along. So 我们一起走进会场。我们一起走进会场。So we see that men character is kind of a plural for people. So 我们 means we. 一起走进会 墙。
我们一起走进会场。
我们一起走进会场。So that one a little bit difficult. That Chang character was one that I don't see too often. So it's also used in like Changyu. And this one, Chinese characters kind of sometimes look like pictures of what they represent. Not always, but they did develop out of like a pictographic language. So you can see this yu, which should be yu. Changyu means rain. So Changyu is a storm. And the second character here means rain. And you can actually see it kind of looks like rain outside of a window. So that's quite cute. So this is one where it very much resembles what it represents. 我能和你做生意，太高兴了，太高兴了，高兴高兴，太高兴了。So this one would be 我能和你做生意，生意太高兴了。
我能和你做生意，太高兴了。
So you see I got one incorrectly when it came to the pinyin here. So 我能和你做生意。So those are all fine, right? So me. So we have I, which is what Wu represents. Neng means able. It's able, or here I'm going to say that it really represents able. So he means with, or can mean together. You do. So 做 is to do. 生意 business. And you'll notice that a lot of these characters, they repeat. So a lot of things are used in different ways. The characters themselves have an individual meaning, and even the strokes that make them up, the smaller characters that are a part of larger characters, have their own meanings. So you can look at a new character and kind of guess how it might be pronounced. So every once in a while I can see a new character and I can give a guess as to how it might be pronounced based on how it visually resembles another character. But it doesn't necessarily tell you exactly what it means. So the meaning is inside the character, and a hint at the pronunciation and meaning are both inside the character as well, but it doesn't actually necessarily tell you that information outright. And most people here in China don't use pinyin either. Pinyin is entirely developed to help foreign learners learn Chinese. Now I think that they also do use it for small children here to try to accelerate the learning process, but your average foreign Chinese language speaker understands pinyin better than any native speaker. This is more an area of expertise for people that learn the language as a second language and not as a first language. So tai means too, all right, or overly. So 太高兴了, I'm like too happy, I'm very excited. It's a way of showing emphasis. 高兴. So here I gave xing the first tone when that should have been a fourth tone. So I actually got that one wrong. So I'm going to go ahead and give myself that one wrong, and we're going to redo that one. Even though, to be perfectly honest, I kind of wavered there for a second. You probably heard me pronounce that two different ways, I think. I just didn't trust myself and gave it to myself wrong anyways. So 今天看上去是个晴天. All right. 今天看上去是个晴天. So here in this word, you see that this "g" character has been used again, right? This "g" that be used as a measure word previously for a, right? Or for like 一个 one, 两个 two, 三个 three, 四个 four. This "g" here has been used behind the character for 是. So here, it's being used in place of the English or a. So is a or is a 晴天. Now this 晴 character I might have wrong. We're going to see.
今天看上去是个晴天.
Okay, so I've written the wrong 晴, right? So the character that I've written... This isn't the... this one might be the one for love. Maybe like for Qing Aida would be like my lover. So what I've done here is written the wrong Qing. And you can see the visual similarities between these two, actually. So this whole right side of the character is the same. I mean, they're identical on the right side. It's only this left side of the character that's different. And the characters are pronounced similarly, too. They're both Qing. So this one is, here is Qing. It's a second tone. Since I've gotten this one wrong, I'm not going to tell you what the tone for it is because I might have also gotten the tone wrong. So that one's going back into the deck. 这个水气3月1号开始. Now you could say this a couple of different ways. You could say this 3月1号开始, or you could also say 3月1日开始. So this 3月, 3 is 3, 月 is month. So whenever you say it in this way, 3月, 3月 means the third month of the year. So this is actually Chinese for March. And that is what you call March in Chinese. You call it 3月. So 1月, January, 2月 is February, 3月, March, 4月, April, and so on, right? All the way up to 12. Now we have 1号, 1号, 3月1号, 3月1号. 这个学期星期学期这个学期3月 This is 3月1号开始.
这个学期3月1号开始.
So I got another one wrong. Now, why is it important that I do this? It's because during conversation, one or two mischaracters here or there are not going to severely inhibit someone's ability to understand you. But if you don't learn the characters and the pronunciation strictly from the beginning, what you'll find is that you'll one day have a large vocabulary. You might be able to read a lot of Chinese. You might even be able to verbalize quite a lot. But people here in China will have a great deal of difficulty understanding what you're saying. They won't be able to follow because too much of your vocabulary will be mispronounced. So they're not going to be able to understand you. So you're going to end up in a situation where you know the language and nobody can understand a word that's coming out of your mouth. And that's going to be really, really frustrating. I've had a couple of friends here in China that were in that situation where their understanding of Chinese was significantly better than mine. Right? So they could read, they could write or type. Very few actually learn how to write. I don't know any other foreigners that know how to handwrite Chinese other than me. I'm sure there are quite a few, but very few actually take the time to go ahead and learn how to write, just because it's a thankless and unrewarding activity. But it was really frustrating because even if we got in like a taxi together, they'd try to give a taxi driver their address, right, or tell them where they're going, or even ordering at restaurants. People would have difficulty understanding them. Whereas I learned how to pronounce things more or less correctly from the very beginning. I've been pretty strict with at least the tones, and because of that, for the most part, I hit most of them right. It's whenever I start questioning myself right now on camera that I start having issues. So I'm going to go ahead and give myself that one wrong again. 一号. Okay, so 我明天晚上来。我明天晚上来。晚
我明天晚上来。
我明天晚上来。Okay. Cool. So 晚上, evening, or yeah, 晚上 would be evening generally. It could also mean nighttime, but into the evening. 你能告诉我去火车站最近的路吗？All right. So here we have this nung character. So we have you able tell me. 我 is me or I. 去 mean, well, that's a G, not a U. 去 means to go somewhere. So this is an action word. This is a verb for moving from one location to another. Now, 火, this one's another one of those characters that very much looks like what it represents. 火 means fire. So, and 车 means 火车站. So this fire, 车 means a vehicle, like an automobile or a mechanical vehicle of some sort. So this literally means fire vehicle. You would think maybe that might mean a fire truck, but no, it would mean the railway, because it's a word that developed originally when they had old, steam and coal-powered locomotives. So this is a 火车站. So here in China, you have a couple of different types of metros. You have the metro station that typically runs underground and sometimes above ground throughout the city. So that one is the DTA. It's the metro. Then you'll have the high-speed railway that travels from one city to another. That's the 高铁. So you have the 高铁, which, yeah. And then you have the 火车. So these would be the slow trains. This is an old, locomotive style train. These are much slower traveling throughout the country. They're super cheap though. You can get like a small bed in one. It'll take you 12 hours to get from, Shanghai to Beijing or something. It'll be like 12, 13 hours, but you can lay down the whole way if you go ahead and, book yourself one of those little beds. So that can be kind of an interesting and really, really cheap way to travel around the country. If you're planning to come to China and maybe you want to do like a backpacking tour, you're American, the tourist visa lasts for 3 months. You get a 3-month entry into the country, and that allows you to travel all over the place. You can land here, you can take a couple of those slow trains all over the country. You can stay in small hotels that'll cost you hardly anything, like $10 a day or something. And then at the end of your trip, you can hop right out over into Vietnam or into Thailand or Malaysia nearby. All of those countries are also really, really inexpensive to travel through. They've got some beautiful views. You can really do like a whole tour of Asia on just a couple $1,000, really. I mean, you could, if you really wanted to, you could spend like an entire year traveling throughout Asia. I want to say on less than 5,000 US dollars. Yeah, like definitely doable. It wouldn't be high living. I mean, you'd be backpacking and slumming it, but you could do it. You could do it. I think I'm going to eat this entire month because I cook for myself at home. It's only going to cost me like, I don't know, like $200. Yeah, it's going to cost me like $200 to eat for the entire month because I cook at home a lot myself. So 最近 is the closest. Here in this sentence, it means closest. Now, duh. This word duh is used for possessive, right? That's also used to conjugate different words together. So, here if I want to write my, it would be 我的, right? My. Or if I want to write his, 他的 means his. 我们的 means ours. 他们的 means theirs. 最近的 it means the closest. So here this is being used to conjugate and to connect 最近 and 路 together, right? So this is the route. 路 here means road. It means road, or it can mean route. All right, so here, the way that duh is being used is to describe the route which has the property of being closest to the fire station. Is the way that I understand and figure out the grammar. I don't study Chinese grammar. I don't do it. I think that it's much easier and it's much more natural to just go ahead and learn directly from sentences, and then I put what I learn into practice through conversation with people out and about. So it's more of a self-built understanding of how the language works than something you find in a book. What you find in a book may be better. I don't know. Watch the video if you want to. 我能和你做生意，太高兴了. So this one has come back. So here I know that the character that I got wrong last time was this 兴. 高兴了. Alright, so now I've got that pinyin correct. Alright, so 今天看上去是个晴天. Now this one's also come back, and I know that this is the qing that I got incorrectly. And 晴天. Alright. So 我乐意和你去. So it'll show you both sides of these characters. So sometimes it'll show me the Chinese sentence, So some cards it'll show me one side, it'll be the Chinese sentence and I need to produce the pinyin and I need to pronounce it. Other times it's going to show me the pinyin and then I need to reproduce those characters. So we're just going to go ahead and start to power through these actually. So I'm going to stop talking. If you are doing any Chinese practice yourself at home, I recommend go download Anki, pull up your flashcards. You are free to sit down with me and do these together. I'm just gonna upload this. It's such a difficult language to learn. It's so difficult to be consistent and to learn it. I really just want to upload this to give some people some encouragement. It's difficult to learn. It takes a lot of time. Sit down with me and trudge through it. Maybe get some followers on the channel. Maybe we'll find some ways to make it fun. We'll get some people in here. Maybe do some group activities and see if we can't suss out this language together.我乐意和你去。
我乐意和你去。
我这就上路。I do recommend you say it every time because you don't want to just end up where you can read it. Functionally, if you're foreign and living here, you're going to speak Chinese dramatically more than you're going to read it. Being able to read is useful. It's very useful, especially if you're wanting to do translation work or something. But if you're actually living over here, you're going to spend a lot more time speaking Chinese than you are reading and writing it. So you really want to vocalize every single chance that you get. 我这就上路。
我这就上路。
So here we have 上 means on, and this 路 here means, it doesn't mean road, right? Or well, it does. It still carries the meaning of road or route. So I'm on the road, or I'm on the route, or if you translate it over into English, then I'm on my way, right? So on the way, 上路。我这就上路。这个学期3月1号，1号就是1号开始。3月1号3月1号开始。Alright, so we got that one correctly that time. 这是常有的事。So here we have
这是常有的事。
So here we have another 是. So these two words, we have 是 here in two places in this sentence. So 这是 now then 的是. So we have the first 是 here means is. Right? Is or are. So we have this 是常有的是. Right? And the pronunciation of these two are exactly the same. Right? It's also 是. As this 是, the second one that we have at the end of the sentence, is more about things, not a physical thing. Alright, not a physical thing. A physical thing would be like 东西. right? It would be things. 我有的东西比较多，我有很多东西 as I have many things. 我有很多东西 would mean that I have many different things. So this is a thing, 这是个东西 or 它是个东西 it is a thing, right? Because that word 它 is he, she, and it is very, difficult to follow along with. Though really you don't say 它 about objects all that too much, at least in my own experience. But this one, this 是 is more about abstracts, right? So it's about situations, or it's about thoughts or ideas. So those types of things where we could say, this is a very complicated thing, right? It's a very complicated matter in English. So I might say, politics is a complicated thing. In Chinese, you wouldn't say complicated thing. You would say 常有, you would say a 复杂的事. 这是复杂的事. 这复杂的 is like complicated or complex, right? So you say 复杂的. That means a thing which is complex. 复杂的事. A thing which is complex, or a thing that it possesses, right? Because does that possessive character, we have that 的 that we use in 我的. Since 的 shows possession, it also shows that one thing in a sentence possesses a certain quality that we're then describing with an adjective, right? So we have 常有的事. So this is a thing which possesses the quality of being 常有, and 常有 is something that happens all the time. So it's a thing that possesses the quality of occurring a lot on a regular basis. What did I... Oop. Well, okay. 这个学期3月1号开始. Alright, so 这个学期3月1号开始. 这是常有的事. Alright, so this 常有的事, 常有的事. Happens all the time, right? This is a thing that happens all the time.
这是常
So they you go into the coffee shop, you're talking to a friend, you buy a latte, and you tell them to put sugar in it, and they forget it. And you sit down at the table, you and your friend, 你和你的朋友一起坐下喝咖啡，那你喝一口，发现你的咖啡就没有糖，就不甜。你就告诉你的朋友，我的咖啡没有糖，他们没给我糖，我的咖啡就不甜。那你的朋友可以回答，他要告诉你，他们为什么那么做？你就可以回答，这是常有的事。每一次来到这个咖啡馆，他们都这样做。So you can say something along those lines. My Chinese is terrible, actually. It's really, really bad. But I get the point across. 晚饭我请客. Dinner is my treat. So here we have that 请 word again. 晚饭. So evening is 晚. So this is like before we said 晚上. 晚上 would be evening, right? So 晚 means in the evening, and 饭 means food. 晚饭 means so evening food. We have our dinner, right? 晚饭我I think that the character here is this 请. this qing. This is the qing for thank you, or please. So, then 请客.
晚饭我请客.
Aha, there we go. So, here what we've actually said is dinner is my treat. What we've really said is the evening food, it's my pleasure to, well, it's my pleasure, it's my treat, right? So here it's my pleasure to provide the food. So here, this qing in 请客 means to ask for something, to ask for a gift from someone, to ask for help. 请帮助我 or 请帮我喂我的猫. You can say, please help me feed my cat while I'm traveling. 请帮我喂我的猫. So this character means please. So he's actually not just suggesting that he will purchase dinner, he's actually asking if he can purchase dinner as well. It's kind of an inherent implication, right, inside of the character, that you're almost asking permission. So here in Asia, people fight over paying for dinner. You go out with a couple of Chinese guys and you can get into shouting matches over who's going to pay for the dinner. Like, I've seen people almost come to blows over it just once or twice, but I've seen people really get worked up about it. Because paying for dinner here for a group of people whenever you go out is seen as like a status symbol. It's a way to kind of show off your wealth and to show off your position. So if you go to dinner with your boss is going to pay for dinner. If your boss doesn't pay for dinner, your company's probably like going broke or something. You probably need to look for a new job. Like if you go to dinner with your boss in China, they will generally be reaching for that bill. And if you, their employee, attempt to pay for the bill, you're going to have problems. You're not going to find that action is well received. If you try to pay for your own food, they're going to be annoyed with you. Now, here's the thing. Even if he does pay for it, and you know that he's wanting to pay for it because it's part of the whole status thing, you still have to offer to pay for yours. Because having that fight is a sign of respect also. You have to have that argument over who's going to pay the bill, and then concede the position of power and authority to the person who's actually going to pay. And depending on the situation, different people might be might be in that position to pay. So for instance, if it's my birthday and I go out to dinner with several friends here in China, it's generally expected that I pay for dinner. So you go out on your birthday, your friends don't buy you dinner here in China. You buy all of your friends dinner. You buy dinner for everybody, for the whole table. And of course, you'll probably get that back in the form of like hongbaos, like red envelopes or gifts or something. Like, it'll make its way back to you, most likely, if in any way good friends. But you will be paying for your own birthday dinner, because as it is your birthday, you're wanting to show off how successful you are and how much you've grown in life, and how you're kind of like the big man on campus, right? You're the big guy at the table. It's your day to be the center of attention, so don't worry, everybody. I got this. I got dinner. Which is pretty crazy. That one takes a little while for people to adjust to whenever they first move over here. It's one of those interesting little cultural quirks. And do not try to pay for your boss's dinner. Like, you could argue with them just for a minute and then you let them do it, because otherwise you might get yourself fired. Let's see. 我能试穿一下吗? Can I try it on?
我能试穿一下吗
Oh, I was worried tiny little bit wrong there. So we have shi. This is chuan. So, shi means to try. So, shi isha would be to try something. Shi isha means to try something, right? Shi chuan isha. So, chuan means to put on, if you're talking about clothing. So, to put on a shirt. 穿衣服 means to put your shirt on, or 穿裤子 means to put your pants on, or 穿鞋子 means to put your shoes on. I probably shouldn't let people know, I'm in China. I do wear my shoes in my apartment. I do it all the time. I'm American, I'm only half Chinese at this point, but yeah. And then here we have a character that's going to be like really commonly repeated is this character ma. Now, this character here represents that a question is being asked. So this character is for yes or no questions. All right, so if it's a question that can be answered with a yes or a no, it's asked by putting ma at the end of the sentence. So here, let me show you what that kind of structure looks like. So I can write ni. All right, so this is for you, ni, and I'll write 喜欢 我 你喜欢我 This means you. You like me. All right, so this is just a direct statement. In Chinese, the grammar for really simple, basic, direct statements is actually the same as in English. So I can say something like 你喜欢我 means you like me, right? Or 你喜欢咖啡 means you like coffee. Or 我喜欢咖啡 I like coffee. The sentence structure is exactly the same for this type of basic statement. It's a very simple, direct statement, but this is a really good place to start learning Chinese because you can get a lot done with these really simple, direct statements in the language when it comes to just buying food, getting around the city, figuring out where you need to go. A lot can be done with this really basic sentence structure, right? So this is all right. This is subject, verb, and object, right? Right. So what we do to turn this into a question is we just add ma to the end of it. Right. So we add ma to the end of it, and it turns it into a yes or no question. It turns it into do. Right? Or, do you like me? Or if you want to be follow the sentence structure a little bit more correctly with your English, you say, you like me? Yes, no. All right, so that's just the meaning of that ma character, and that's going to pop up in tons of these sentences if you're going through and doing this. And of course, you could skip the handwriting and you'll get through things a little bit faster. I mean, it's up to you whether or not you think that's going to be valuable for you. It's a pretty rare skill. I like being able to do it because, after being here for quite a few years, it's really helpful to, be having a conversation with someone. There's so many characters that are almost the same. Sometimes people don't understand a character that you've said. All right, so even if you got the tone correctly, even if you've used it in the correct place in the sentence, they still might be thinking of a different word in Chinese. Maybe your pronunciation might be a tiny bit off. Maybe they come from a different dialect, so maybe their Putonghua might not be perfect. So Putonghua or Mandarin Chinese is the official language in China, but it's not everyone's first language. There's over 50 Chinese dialects, and there are still hundreds of millions of Chinese people who did not learn Mandarin Chinese as their first language. So they grew up as a small child, they learned their own local dialect, and depending on the dialect, they can differ from Mandarin, a little bit or drastically to the point where it's a totally different language. And so then they've learned Mandarin through school, right? So in the school system, in most places, Mandarin is required. That's the language that they have to teach in. So they've actually learned Mandarin as potentially their second language, or as a dialect of their own native language. So like if you have, for example, Sichuanese, so in Sichuan, the Sichuan dialect is very similar to Mandarin. There are differences, but they're not hugely drastic. Right, Sichuanese and Putonghua are pretty similar as far as dialects go. So it's not a major problem for someone who's been from Sichuan as a kid and to learn Mandarin when they go to school. It's more of a modification to the way they speak. It's kind of like learning an accent rather than anything else. Shanghainese is a completely different language. There are almost no similarities at all between Mandarin Chinese and Shanghai Hua. These are two completely different languages. They're part of different families in Chinese dialects. So there's three major families in the Chinese dialects. Shanghai Hua and Putonghua are part of different families. They're completely separate dialects. They don't sound at all the same. The way that they speak doesn't work at all the same. It's a completely different language. If you speak Shanghai Hua, and that's the first language you learn, and I've met a couple of people who have come to China and they only learn Shanghai Hua, it is completely and totally useless anywhere outside of Shanghai, Hangzhou, and Suzhou. Basically, those are the only three cities where you're ever going to have any use for Shanghai Hua at all. It's completely unspoken anywhere else in the country, and it's not at all similar to Mandarin, so no one in another part of the country or from another part of the country is going to have any idea what you're saying. It's the same for Guangdonghua, which is Cantonese. The Cantonese is obviously is very widely spoken through Hong Kong and through Guangdong province, and in Guangdong, a lot of parents actually refuse to teach their kids Mandarin. A lot of people refuse to learn and speak Mandarin in Guangdong because of their own local culture. So they actually will go and take extra steps to make sure their kids are educated in Cantonese rather than Mandarin. And Cantonese is just a completely different language than Mandarin Chinese as well. They do use the same written characters. So if you're reading and writing, then you understand quite a lot between Shanghainese and Mandarin and Cantonese. You can understand a lot with the characters. There's a lot there, similarity. But when it comes to actually speaking, you can't understand each other at all, despite you have three Chinese people in the room, all born in mainland China, all educated in mainland China, and yet with zero ability to verbally communicate with each other. And that's a thing that happens here. This is not too much. Younger people, of course, all speak Mandarin. Pretty much everyone younger speaks Mandarin. But with older people, this is actually something you can run into on a fairly regular basis. I'd say once or twice, a couple of times a month, I run into someone who only speaks their own dialect, or they have just a really passing understanding of Putonghua. So I'm also really careful about who I ask for help on my Chinese. So if I'm out and about, if I ask someone how to say a character, if I'm not aware of their own grasp of Putonghua, I could end up grabbing someone whose Putonghua is just kind of so-so, and then they could give me an incorrect pronunciation of the character that's actually their own dialect's pronunciation of it, the way that they would say it back home, rather than the way that it would be commonly spoken throughout the country. So This is very complicated language. And then there's simplified and traditional characters too, and that's a whole nother bag of worms. 他是近视眼. So this is 近视眼. This is nearsighted. And this one we're going to see the reuse of a character that we used before. So previously we said in one we had 最近, which was this. This is 最近. It was the nearest or closest, right? So here, that 近 means close, right? Close or near. And this 最 means the most, right? So we have most closest, all right? The most close. So 它是近视眼, 是近视眼, 近视. Now, which 视 am I looking at here? Oh, no. So, we've gotten it wrong. The character that I've used is for things. And this is the 视 from 电视. 电视 meaning television. So, like, it'd be 电视. It would mean TV or television. So, I'm not sure of the meaning of this character 视 right here, so I'm actually going to open up another app. I'm going to type in here, and I can use the pinyin to enter in my characters right now. So 电视, television or TV. So I want to look at this. So this character 视 means to look at or to gaze at. So it's purple, it's a verb. Okay. So it is the verb for looking at something. Now there's a couple of different verbs for this. If you say I want to look at that, you won't say 视. You will say 我想看 or 我要看看. The 看 means to look at something. So I can ask someone about their watch. 我可以看你的手表吗? Means can I look at your watch? 我可以看. Or yeah, okay, so I would say 可以 there. It means can I? 我可以. So this one is another verb for looking at something. Maybe it's a verb to describe something that is to be looked at. So 电视. So it's an electronic that you look at. Interesting. Let's go back. We'll go to this first one. So for this one, 电视, it is an electronic for looking at, or quite literally, a television. That's great. That's really cool the way that works. Okay, so we have 电视 means to look at. So 近 means close, and 视 means to look at, and 眼 means eyes. So he has close looking eyes, or eyes that are good at looking at things up close. That's really, really on the nose right there. So close looking eyes, or eyes that look close, and look not as in to look, from you, but to they actually look at things which are close. All right, cool. So I have gotten that one wrong. I'm going to go ahead and just write it out one more time. Jin Shi Yan. 它是近视眼。近视眼。So if you get it wrong, go ahead and write out the sentence once or twice. Write out the characters you've missed once or twice. Practice the character a couple of times. And continue powering through this. 今天要是星期三。今天要是星期三，前天就是星期一。今天要是星期三，前天就是星期一。So here we're using the character yao. This character is right here. Now this is an interesting character because it's used in several different ways. It's pronounced the same way each time, and it looks the same way each time, but the uses for it can vary quite a bit. So yao can mean want. Yao can mean will. Not like I have a will, but as in I will, right? I will do something. And here, it can mean if, right? So we say 今天要是星期三前天就是星期一。So, we have today, if is, week 3. So, 星期三 means, 星期 literally translates to week, right? This is a week. So, 星期三 is the third day of the week. There's also other words for week. If you're talking about the week as a whole, then you don't say 星, well, you could say 一星期, you could say 1 week. But usually people would go ahead and say 一周 instead. So that's another word for week. And you'd use that instead because 周 is 一周. 一周 is shorter than 一星期. You've got 2 syllables instead of 3. So, yeah. So 星期三 means Wednesday. 前天, it means 前 is before, or before now, and then tian is day, so the day before, right? The day before, 前天, day before, or before day, right? 就是 Zhou is kind of an interesting character. It's really flexible, but most often it kind of means like just. So you would say like, if today is Wednesday, the day before just is Monday. The day before, yes, 前天,昨天 is yesterday. 前天 is the day before, 2 days before. Yeah. Before 2 days, that's right. So you have 昨天 is yesterday, 明天 is tomorrow, 今天 is today, and 前天 is 2 days ago, or the day before yesterday, the day before. And then you have 后天 is 2 days from now. Okay? So we have 前天 is 2 days before. Now here, this word Joe doesn't really mean just. It's really kind of ephemeral and abstract, the meaning of Joe. There's no proper way to translate Joe into English. 就是Joe 的意思。我知道 Joe 是什么意思的，但是我就不知道怎么告诉你 Joe 是什么意思的，因为在英文我们就没有这样的单词，我们在英文就没有 Joe 的意思，所以我就不知道我可以告诉你，我不知道怎么告诉你什么，这是什么意思的。But most often Joe is like just. Like 就给我 means just give it to me, right? Or yeah, more often than not, it just means just. And then sometimes you've got places where, like here in this sentence, I think really you could really drop Joe from the sentence, and I think the sentence's meaning would be the same, right? So we could say 今天要是星期三，前天是星期一。I think that the meaning is basically the same, but here that Joe is much more natural. It's like a proper break in the sentence to pause your idea and to carry over your thought process from one to, from 前天 over into 星期一. It's really difficult to explain. I need to look up and try to find a good way to explain that to you guys. Because obviously I learned Chinese just by talking to people, so sometimes I know what I'm saying, but I don't know what I'm saying. This one is 没关系，这是没关系。And it's kind of an ugly character in my opinion. I don't think this character is very pretty. So, 没, right? This one, 没, means don't have, right? Or none of. So 没关系means 没关系 I think it's 没关系有什么事 So 有什么 have 什么 what, topic or thing. So, have what thing or have what topic, to talk to me about. What are you here for, basically? 没关系 means no matter, right? 没关系. So if someone calls you on the phone and you were asleep and they wake you up, maybe they would say like, oh, I'm sorry that I woke you up, right? So they, you might 接电话。那他告诉你的朋友，你为什么给我打电话？我刚在睡觉。刚在 means I was just, right? 我刚在睡觉。你为什么给我打电话？ Why are you calling me? And they say, oh, I'm sorry that I woke you up. 对不起。你可以睡觉。then you could say, reply, he'll say, good, oh, I'm sorry, you can go to sleep, you can sleep. You reply, 没关系, it's no problem, no big deal, it doesn't matter, 没关系. Alright, 有什么事? So no matter what are you calling me for, or what do you have, what do you need, what can I help you with?
没关系，有什么事?
It doesn't matter. What's up? Yeah. Alright, so 没关系，有什么事? So here, I got may incorrect. I'm going to go ahead and write that down. "没关系," 没关系，没关系，有什么事？没关系，有什么事？ Right? Now, 我们等到天气好些再说。All right. So let's see. Mm. 等到天气好些再说。Now, we, 我们 we 等 means to wait. 等到 is to wait for something specific. So to 到 is to arrive. Right? So we wait to arrive. 天气好些。天气 is the weather. 好些 to improve or to get better, right? To get a bit better. Right? So we are waiting for the time when the weather has improved to arrive to 再说再说再说 means to talk about it later. Right? We'll keep talking or we'll come back to this later. So here, they're basically the actual translation of the sentence is, let's wait until the weather improves a little bit to keep talking about this, or let's talk about this after the weather improves a little bit. 我们等到天气好些再说。我们等到天气好些再说 means to wait for the weather to improve. And this 再说 is used quite a lot, so that one's a good one to remember.
我们等到天气好些再说。
我们等到天气好些再说。Alright, so I go through. 我们等到天气好些再说。我们等到天气好些再说。我们等到天气好些再说。我们等到天气好些再说。我们等到天气好些再说。Alright, so you can, if you're doing it at home, I mean, you can take your pen or your finger and writing the characters in the air will kind of help tie the physical action of your mouth to the physical action of your finger while you try to write out that character and while you try to pronounce it. It's just one extra little physical muscle memory movement to help lock that into your long-term memory, right? So you just write them out each. 我们等到天气好些再说 and work on the characters. So, 他是近视眼. All right, so we got another chance here at this one. He is close. He is of close-looking eyes. So no prepositions in Chinese. So I think that the way I would translate this is he is of close-looking eyes. If I was going to go for a literal translation. So he is a person of close-looking eyes, but to mean he is nearsighted. 他是近视眼，他是近视眼，他是近视眼。他在他的旁边， 他在他的旁边。他在 means at. So he is at. We have another ta. This is the female ta, her. Now you can only determine this while speaking, so while reading or writing. So again, if you just say this sentence, 他在他的旁边, they don't know if you're talking about two men or two women or a man and a woman or potentially even a man and a thing or a woman and a thing. Yeah, that information isn't provided by the oral sentence.
他在他的旁边。
他在他的旁边，旁边，旁旁旁旁旁边旁边，他在他的旁边，他在他的旁边。Even while speaking, you really need to try to hit most of these tones correctly to make sure that your intent and your meaning is actually carried through. Which is just one of those things that makes the language so hard to get a hold of and to really become capable in. Here we go. We've got a good one. You're no more capable of speaking Chinese than I am. 你我都不会说汉语. That's not exactly what that sentence means. So here the English sentence is, you're no more capable of speaking Chinese than I am. But the actual meaning here is you, I, all, "不会" means not able or incapable. 说 1, 2, 3.
你我都不会说汉语。
Aha! I was a little bit worried about that one. I'm not gonna lie. I almost got that one wrong. 汉语你我都不会说汉语 means, it actually means you, I, all, incapable or cannot speak Chinese. So it doesn't actually necessarily. Okay. It doesn't actually mean you're no more capable of speaking Chinese than I am. Here, this one, I would say, really means that you, like me, don't speak Chinese. Or neither, we both don't speak Chinese. You suppose you could interpret it this way, you're no more capable of speaking Chinese than I am. But this is more of an interpretation rather than a translation. So I'm actually going to go in there, and I think that where interpretation is unnecessary, I would prefer to remove it from the flashcard. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that sentence, and I'm going to put in my own text instead. And this is why this Josh's modified 20K deck that I'm working with here. This is someone else's deck that they've created, and I've been slowly going through the entire thing and modifying it. So as I go, I check new sentences and I check new words, and based on my own understanding of Chinese, I will modify these cards by hand to try and improve the overall quality of the deck. Um, it'd be great if I could actually go around and record actual local native speaking all of the audio to replace all of the computer generated audio that's in all of these, because that audio is not that great, but that'd probably be a pretty large undertaking to record 20,000 sentences from a bunch of people. But it's something that we may potentially do, and that could turn this deck into a really, really powerful tool for anyone who's wanting to learn Chinese. So eventually, I will be making this deck available to people to use, and as I continue to go through it and make modifications, people will be able to download this version of the deck, and they'll be able to work with it. But I'm really thankful to the guy that put together the bare bones initial deck in the first place. All right. So we are both incapable or unable to speak Chinese. We are both incapable or unable to speak Chinese. No, and this character Hui as well. So we talked about Yao being this interesting word that means like want or will or if, right? Well, the word Hui means can or able, right? But it also means will. It also means will. So, 我会去上海 means I will go to Shanghai, right? Or 我会去北京，我会去吃饭 means I will go eat. So, there's this kind of weird overlap where you'll have multiple word options that can both mean something quite similar. So I could say 我要去北京 means I will go to Beijing. 我会去北京 means I will go to Beijing. 我能去北京 means I can or I'm able to go to Beijing. 我可以去北京 means that I have the opportunity and I'm willing to go to Beijing. I can go to Beijing. So, 可以能会要 can all mean something very similar, but the usages for each one of them varies. So they're very similar at times, depending on where they show up in a sentence, in meaning to other words. But the way that they're used is different. So that can be really confusing. You might have be trying to put together a sentence and say, do I say 能 here, or do I say 可以 here, or do I say 会 here, right? Because 能 means I'm capable or I'm able to do something. 可以 means can, right? 会 also means can or able. So you've got these three different options, and you may have difficulty deciding which one you actually want to put into that sentence. And sometimes they're more or less interchangeable. Sometimes you can just use any of the three and people will understand what you mean. And at other times it might lead to a little bit of confusion. So it's a very, very long-term process, really mastering the usage
你我都
of
不
all
会
of these.
说汉语。
So I've changed this to 你我都, so we are both. 你我都, we are both. 不会说汉语, incapable or unable to speak Chinese. And yeah, then that's probably what the Chinese sentence is actually intended to mean. 你喜欢我就高兴. 你喜欢我就高兴. So here is a place where we would probably we would use probably a comma here really in an English sentence, but 你 that's wrong. So you know that's 高兴, right? 就高兴我喜欢 and 你喜欢我就高兴你喜欢我就高兴 You like I this Joe, you know, kind of like just like if you like it, I'm just happy, right? So kind of that just-ish kind of meaning. 高兴 means happy. Alright? So if you like it, I'm happy. Or, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, so, great
你喜
sentence.
欢我就高兴。
你喜欢我就高兴. So, here if I think of this from an English perspective, without any punctuation, right? 你喜欢我就高兴. Right? I would think, oh, I'm saying, if you like me, you like me. Oh, I'm so happy. Right? You like me. 你喜欢我就高兴. Right? Which I suppose, based on how you emphasize this in Chinese, you could probably make it mean that as well. 你喜欢我我就高兴. You know, very similar there. You might need to add that extra 我 into the sentence. 你住在哪儿? Where do you live? Now this is going to be one you hear a lot in China. 你住在哪儿? 你住在哪儿? Now, 哪儿 means where. But this is kind of with a Beijing accent. So with the Beijing accent, they like using this R, nar, and this R here means to. But they'll throw it at the end of a lot of different things. So 小姑娘, you know, 住在哪儿? 是哪儿的? 在哪儿? This R is very much a Beijing accent, a Beijing dialect kind of thing. So if you wanted to say that really in a more standard Putonghua, you would actually say 哪里 你住在哪里 would be the more standard Putonghua. But if you wanted to use a Beijing accent, you say 你住在哪儿? Right? And I use both. I switch between both of them. Sometimes I use the R. So you can also do this with 这. So you could say 这里, which means it means this place, right? Or here. 这里 means this place or here. Or you can say 这. 这. And that extra ER, that extra E in the R is kind of dropped. 这. So, well, I can say 我住在这里, as I live here. Or I can also say 我住在这. Or I say 你住在哪里? 你住在哪儿? Is also appropriate. So you have kind of those two options. They're pretty much interchangeable. Most people are going to understand either one. So it's not going to be a make or break for like understanding people or people understanding you. If you pronounce it with a Beijing accent, most people are still going to understand what you've said. No, I don't know why that popped up again. 已经出现了一些问题。已经出现出现了出现。这should be 现在的现。出现 No, I don't think this is correct. This would be like 现在, like right now. So I don't think that this is the correct 现。已经出现了一些问题。Okay, so we'll just go ahead and 了一些问题。
已经出现了一些
No, why did you close?
已经出现了一些问
Oh,
题。
it was. Okay. Well, I wasn't sure that that was right. I thought that might be wrong. This was my first guess was 现在的现, but I was correct actually. So that's really nice. I'm glad that I was. Because that saves me having to do that part again. But I mean, that one was pretty tough. Alright. 出现. Alright. 已经 means already. 已经is already. 出现了. 出 means to go somewhere. 出. This is different from the 去. So the this one is 去, which also means to go, right? And this one is a Q. 去. This one 出is a CH sound. 出 instead of 去 for the Q, the 去. Now 已经出现了一些问题。Alright, so 出现 this is 出现. We're going to go ahead and check that out here in the dictionary too. So the dictionary that I'm using right here is Anki. Or no, is Pleco. This one's got a lot of different modules you can download. You can actually do flashcards inside the dictionary, inside Pleco, but I've never messed with their flashcard application. You can add words directly from the flashcards here directly into their own flashcard app too. But I don't have any experience using that. So 出现 means to appear, arise, or emerge. So I want to check this. So 现 can mean cash or ready money, show, appear, or become visible. As a verb, it means to appear or become visible. So, and then the chu, if we check out chu, wow, okay, well, it's being used here as a measure word for operas or plays, or it means to go or come out. All right? So for a word like 出现, that means that a problem has come out and appeared, right? Or it is appeared or arisen. So 出现 means to appear or arise, with 现 meaning to appear and 出 meaning to come out. All right, so that's cool. That's a really nice thing to know. And that's a really strong, really great tool having that Pleco available. Now, one problem is you might drop a word, and if you type in an English word and you're just looking for, the proper Chinese word for it, you might honestly be better off grabbing a translator, sticking in a sentence, and then trying to grab that, throwing it into the dictionary, and then, taking the Chinese sentence and going from there and translating it back through the dictionary. Because if you put in like an English word, it's just going to give you all sorts of different stuff. Like, now look at all these options. Like, that is not particularly helpful. Even the very first option is to 闲的. He appears or seems to be. So he seems a bit nervous. 他显得有点紧张. 他显得有点紧张. That's not, if you were typing in look, like to look at something, that wouldn't be what you're looking for at all. So then you're young. Appearance, shape, or look of something. No, that's not what we're looking for. Expression or look in someone's eyes. No. Let's see. The most common word for look is to look at something is kan. And that's like the 20th thing that shows up. It doesn't work that well going that direction. But going from Chinese into the English is going to be great, and it's really useful that way. I just wish it would maybe weight the responses whenever you put in an English word by how often the words appear in the language. Maybe would probably be a better way to turn up those search results. That would be great, but it's not something that they do. All right, so I got that right, even though I wasn't entirely sure. I got that one correct. 这所大学里有多少教室？这所大学里，哪里的里？这里的里。有多少教室？
这所大学里有多少教室？
Oh, got that wrong. I put 老师的师. So if I were like to be writing teacher, it's 老师. It would be like that. So I wrote 教室, but this should mean is for classrooms. So I have gotten it incorrect. Alright, so I'm going to write that one more time. 教室. And that's what I should have written. So the rest of it's right, but obviously got that one wrong. So I'm going to go ahead and call it there today. I'm going to take a little bit of a break. Thank you all very much for watching. If you'd like to follow along with me, hopefully I get enough subscribers. I think here on Rumble I need 5 subscribers to get this going, and love to get some people in to practice some Chinese with me. I think it'd be a lot of fun. It's a really difficult language. It takes a lot of time and effort to learn. And it's kind of a drudge. It can be a little bit boring when you're sitting down and going through all of this vocabulary every day. So let's build up a little bit of a group here. We'll do some Skype calls, get some people who are interested in it in here with me, and maybe have a good time learning the language. Oh, have a good day. Bye. Oh, 再见. Goodbye in Chinese for beginners. 再见.